Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishnu Bhutade Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastacha Deshatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We speak of Srila Prabhupada being the preeminent Shiksha Guru of ISKCON, but before talking about that, we should also just understand what is Guru, because this is also a matter of dispute or puzzlement among many people, or different interpretations. So, we find some nice definitions given, or distinctions made in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Actually, before that time, Srila Prabhupada was the only guru in ISKCON, so he was just guru, and he took initiation. But when Chaitanya Charitamrita came out, then we've understood there's two different types of gurus. One is the mantra guru, or the diksha guru, and the other is the shiksha guru. There was two distinct gurus there. So this distinction was the first time. This is the first time that the devotees of ISKCON had heard about two types of gurus. They just thought Prabhupada's guru finished, and then we got two types of gurus. And furthermore, it said they're to be treated equally. They are identical. They should be respected equally. So, of course, we know that guru is to be treated like God, and we have to worship him with the respect of God, and through that we get knowledge revealed, etc. So, but then it says that you respect both the Shiksha and the Diksha Guru equally. In other words, they're both equally important for our spiritual advancement. So it's a rather new concept. And over that's repeated in the Adi Lila. In one place, initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madanna Mohan Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Dev Vigraha. So the Diksha Guru is like Madanna Mohan, and the Shiksha Guru is like Govinda. So very interesting. They're actually representing different aspects of the deities. Sanatana Goswami's deity and Rupa Goswami's deities. Very interesting. And again, no difference between the shelter-giving Supreme Lord and the initiating and instructing spiritual masters. So the two types of gurus, Shiksha and Diksha gurus, should be treated equally, and not only equally, but equally with the Supreme Lord. So that's a very exalted position to put the guru in. And if one foolishly makes discriminates between them, he commits offense in the discharge of devotional service. So, a little bit of a heavy statement here, because the guru is to be treated like God. And not one guru, but two different types of gurus. And of course, not only you can have one Shiksha guru, you can have many Shiksha gurus. So there's actually many people that you treat as God. Many gurus. Theoretically, at least. Okay, so in another place, in Madhya Lila, it's described, the spiritual master who first gives information about spiritual life is called the Varma Pradarshika Guru. The spiritual master who initiates according to the regulations is called the Diksha Guru, and the spiritual master who gives instructions for elevation is called the Shiksha Guru. Now, of course, we can see the Varma Pradarshika Guru means literally the Guru who shows the path. So anyone who first introduces you to Krishna consciousness would be that person. But he could also be like a type of Shiksha Guru. Okay, and also he makes a little bit of a distinction. We can have two kinds of instructing spiritual masters. One is liberated, fully absorbed in meditation and devotional service. The other who invokes the disciple's spiritual consciousness, which means he's not liberated. He's not in prema, but nevertheless, he's advanced enough to give you nice instructions to inspire you on the path of devotional service. So the Shiksha Guru could be of different levels. Not necessarily that he has to be in prema. Okay, he's talking about the Varma Pradarshika Guru. Pradarshika Guru means guru or spiritual master who shows the way. Such a guru is sometimes called Shiksha Guru. Although Narada Muni was his Diksha Guru, Suniti, his mother, was the first who gave him instruction how to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of God. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. So Narada Muni gave Dhruva a mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, so he was the Diksha Guru, but Suniti was the first one who gave instructions. She was the Vartma or Pradarshika Guru or the Shiksha Guru. So we get two types of gurus mentioned. It depends on the duty of the Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru or Diksha Guru to instruct the disciple in the right way, and it depends on the disciple to execute the process. According to Shastra conjunctions, there's no difference between the Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru, and generally the Shiksha Guru later on becomes the Diksha Guru. But one could also have other Shiksha Gurus besides the Diksha Guru. Not that there's only one Diksha Guru who is also the Shiksha Guru. He can do that, but there could be other persons as well. Similarly, if we look in the Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha, when he's talking about Archana, then he brings up the topic of Diksha, or initiation. And in that relationship, then he describes different types of gurus. So he describes the one who teaches the Shiksha Guru, he teaches the method of worship. So he's the Bhajana Shiksha Guru, one who was previously a Sravana Guru, one who hears again. So another type of Shiksha Guru. If one has many Sravana Gurus, among them one may accept one who is as a Shiksha Guru to whom was great attraction. Similarly, selecting a person to whom one is attached, a person takes only one person as a mantra guru or Diksha Guru. So you could have several Shiksha Gurus, but you have one mantra guru or Diksha Guru. So you can't take the mantra from different persons or take different mantras from different gurus and say, I've got so many Diksha Gurus. It's a rule. Only one mantra from one guru. So the Shravana Guru and the Bhajana Shiksha Guru are generally the same person. Okay, so anyway, that's Shiksha Gurus. Later I'll define the Diksha Guru in a little more detail. So a lot of the quotations that we hear about the respect to be given to the Guru are actually in regard to Shiksha Gurus, even though generally we apply to Diksha Guru. So when we say you have to worship Guru, and then we quote from Upanishad like Mundaka Upanishad or Svetasvara Upanishad, then we'll say, okay, so we have to worship Diksha Guru as God. But actually, if you look in the Upanishad, it's not the Diksha Guru, it's the Shiksha Guru it's applying to. But of course it applies to both. But anyway, and as I already said, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, we have to give equal respect. But anyway, there are many injunctions telling us to give proper respect to the Guru, and it's often about the Shiksha Guru. Okay. So, of course, we have this famous verse, Tad Vigyanartam Sagurum Eva Bigachet. Everyone's heard that? I think it's in the Bhagavad Gita purports, it's in Bhagavatam purports, it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very famous verse. You have to accept Guru. So then we say you have to have a Diksha Guru. But actually, you have to have a Shiksha Guru. That's what it's talking about here in this Upanishad, if you look at the context of the Upanishad. So therefore, it's not just about Diksha Guru, also about Shiksha Guru. We have to have gurus. Yeah. So another one from the same Upanishad talking about the Guru will teach Brahma Vidya to the student. So he's teaching. So this is Shiksha Guru. Another famous one, Svetasvatara Upanishad. Everyone's seen this quotation? Yeah, very famous. You should have equal bhakti for Guru as you have for the Supreme Lord. Then the meaning of scriptures is revealed. This again is Shiksha Guru in its original context. Another one, you've probably seen this one, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. A person who has Acharya knows the Vedas or gets realization. So emphasis upon the Acharya, who again is Shiksha Guru. So in Bhagavatam also we have different verses about gurus and how you have to treat them properly. hears about a guru who says he gives you knowledge, Jnana Deepa Prade Guru. Huh? The guru who gives the lamp of knowledge, who is directly Sakshat Bhagavati. He's also directly the Supreme Lord. Huh? Yeah. So, the spiritual master should be considered directly the Supreme Lord because he gives transcendental knowledge for enlightenment. Huh? So it's one who gives the knowledge. Huh? And he is the one who's considered to be directly the Supreme Lord because he's giving knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Huh? Okay. Another one. Huh? Acharya Mam Vijani, another one, very famous verse, often quoted. Treat the Acharya as myself, never disrespect him in any way. Respect to the Guru again. We usually take it as Diksha Guru. But actually, this is an instruction to the brahmachari in the ashrama, respecting his teacher, who's not probably isn't his Diksha Guru, because in the Vedic system, the Guru was the father, because he gave you the Gayatri mantra at Upanayanam Samskar when you're 5 years old. That's your mantra, and therefore he's your Vedic Diksha Guru, so to speak. Then he sends you off to the Gurukul, and when you're 5 years old, and then you learn the Vedas from your Gurukul teachers. So basically, this Acharya here is the Gurukul teacher. Treat him as, always give him proper respect, never disrespect him in any way. Never think of him as an ordinary person. So Jiva Goswami says this is about a brahmachari and how he has to behave in front of his Shiksha Guru, Gurukul teacher. And he says this is actually from Varnashram, Karma, Yoga, etc. It's not actually for bhakti. So even in Karma Yoga, you have to give proper respect to your teachers, because this guru may not be teaching about bhakti at all. He may be teaching you karma, or karma kanda or something, karma kanda guru. But you have to give proper respect to him. Okay, so I've talked a little about the Shiksha Guru. Now, Diksha Guru. So this is a famous verse. Everyone knows this verse also, probably? No? Okay. It's quoted in the Upadeshamrita there, when it talks about you should respect a person who has received Diksha. So then this verse is quoted. It's also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita in several places. And it talks about Divya Jnanam Yato Dadyat. So Diksha means that process by which you get Divya Jnanam or transcendental knowledge, and Papasa Sanchayam or destruction of sin. So that's the definition of Diksha. But that's not the complete definition. That's just what it does. Yeah? It gives you knowledge, destroys sin. So the next verse, which is also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, is that therefore you offer respects to Guru, offer everything to him, surrender to him, sarvasvam vinivedyacha. And then Graniyat Vaishnava mantra. Then you receive the Vaishnava mantra. So this actually is the process of Diksha, which is explained by Jiva Goswami. You get the Vaishnava mantra from the Guru, and that mantra, by getting that mantra, you get your transcendental knowledge and you destroy your sin. So it's a bestowal of the mantra. That mantra is not Hare Krishna. That's what you get in what we get in our second initiation, our 18-syllable Krishna mantra. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya and he got Diksha. And he got 10-syllable mantra from his guru. If you read other books, you'll find that Nityananda from his guru got a 10-syllable mantra. That's obviously not Hare Krishna. So, these are the Diksha mantras, which are not Kirtan mantras at all. They are not to be revealed by the disciple to anybody, because it's given personally by the Guru. If you reveal it, no power. It's useless. So it's for your personal meditation and chanting, your japa. So that's the mantra, which is your Diksha mantra. So when we talk about Diksha Guru in scripture, then the one who gives you that mantra is your Diksha Guru. So that is the function of the Diksha Guru. He may give teachings, he may not give teachings. We see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopal Kumar got a 10-syllable mantra also, same one that Lord Chaitanya got, from his guru. So he became the Diksha Guru. But he didn't get any teachings. The guru disappeared. He only got the mantra, but he was the Diksha Guru because he gave the mantra. So then we see that the associates of Lord Chaitanya, they gave Diksha. So that means they gave the mantra. Janava, wife of Nityananda, she initiated people, gave Diksha. That means she gave mantra. So that's the basic definition of Diksha. And why it's called Diksha, basically because the two parts of the definition, Divya Jnanam for Di, Ksha for Kshaya, Papasakshaya. So bestowal of knowledge is the Di part, and Ksha is destruction of sin. So Diksha. Like Mamsa means me and he. I killed him, he kills me in the future. So you get your karma for eating an animal, right? Because you kill a cow or something, or a pig or whatever. So, therefore, this is the meaning of Diksha. So, it's the bestowal of the Vaishnava mantra by which you get your transcendental knowledge and destroy your sin. And that's explained by Jiva Goswami in his commentary on Bhakti Sandarbha. Divya Jnanam is knowledge of the form of the Lord and knowledge of one's particular relationship with the Lord in the sacred mantra. So when you get the mantra from Guru, then you get your Divya Jnanam. You know who you're supposed to worship. In our case, that's Krishna. What is our relationship? We offer respects to Krishna. We're the servant of Krishna. He also says, mainly for rich householders doing deity worship. So one of the functions of this mantra, of course, is this meditation like Gopal Kumar. We don't actually use it for that much. We may chant it 3 times a day and forget about it. But we do chant Hare Krishna, much more, 16 rounds or whatever. But we do use that Diksha mantra for deity worship. That qualifies us for Archana. And thus, we say that you can't worship the deity unless you have second initiation. Why? Because you need the mantras. And it's with those mantras that you offer the flowers and the lamps and food to the deity by uttering your mantra. If you don't utter the mantra, it's not considered worship. So therefore, the Archana and the Diksha are related together. Why rich householders? Because if we have a deity and you have money, then you should spend all your money on feeding your deity and decorating your deity, and don't spend it on your house. In other words, you should use your money to serve Krishna rather than anything else, or sense gratification or whatever. So it's good for householders. People who are not so rich, they could have very simple worship, or even if they didn't do worship at all, they just chant Hare Krishna. And they can also get success from that. Which is of course, this is Lord Chaitanya's teaching, Harinam Eva Kevalam. It's better than anything else, just chant the holy name. Okay. So, we do find statements in Hari Bhakti Vilas and other places, also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which are a little confusing, because it says you have to take Diksha. But of course here, Jiva was saying, well, it's for rich householders. Not everybody's a rich householder. So therefore, if you're not a rich householder, you wouldn't have to take it, according to this statement. But then we have quotations that say, you have to take Diksha. So those who have not taken Diksha are not qualified for uttering the mantra, worshipping the deity. So Diksha and, of course, the deity worship are together like that, but we have statements like this. Unless one is initiated by bona fide spiritual master, that's Diksha, all his devotional service activities are useless. A person who's not properly initiated can descend again to the animal species. So then it says, if you don't take Diksha, 0. All your devotional service is useless unless you have a Diksha Guru. Which is contradictory, because he says, okay, only for rich householders, but now he says, okay. But this is not Jiva Goswami speaking. This is Scripture speaking concerning Pancharatric rules. So we do have a distinction between Pancharatra and other scriptures and Harinam. So, of course, Lord Chaitanya never rejects deity worship. Therefore, he never rejects Diksha. But he has introduced Harinam as the main process for us, which does not require Diksha, which is not secret. And that's why Jiva Goswami says, okay, Archana, good, therefore take Diksha if you're a rich householder. Because it may not be for everybody, the deity worship, etc. You can take Diksha and you can do the deity worship. Otherwise, you chant Hare Krishna. So for Lord Chaitanya, such statements as this are not really relevant in one sense, because these are taken from Pancharatric scriptures. Of course, if we go to Karmakanda, they say all sorts of things you should do for Karmakanda also, and if you don't do it, you go to hell and all that. So every scripture is going to glorify particular things, you know? And if you don't do yoga in the Patanjali or whatever, then you go to hell also. So each scripture is going to glorify its particular process. Pancharatra also glorify Diksha, because without that you can't do Archana. And of course, in our other Vaishnava Sampradayas, before this time, Archana was the main process. And if you didn't do Archana, you couldn't do anything. So therefore, if you want to be a Vaishnava, you have to take Diksha and worship the deity. But with Lord Chaitanya, no. Chant the holy name, which does not require Diksha. So there's a little bit of a shift there. Yeah? So, Diksha, we get the deity mantra, whatever. And it's for Archana, and we have Shiksha teachings. So we have two things here. We have the Diksha for deity worship. We have Shiksha teachings in general. Yeah. And of course, the Diksha Guru can also give teachings. No problem. So as I said, Diksha important if Archana is the main process of bhakti, which it is in many other sampradayas like Sri Sampradaya or Madhva Sampradaya. They don't do Harinam. They don't chant Hare Krishna. So that's very important to worship the deity. Therefore, they need their Diksha. But, as I said, Lord Chaitanya introduced Nam Sankirtan as the main process. And thus, Diksha and Archana take a secondary role. So we do see after Lord Chaitanya took Diksha, he came back and he began his Sankirtan movement. After that, he doesn't really mention Diksha much. I think there's one other place and later on, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is mentioned, but most of the time he just says chant the holy name. So, like this in Anchalila. At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders on the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be good as himself. This is a praise of Diksha. It says Diksha Kale. When the devotee's body is thus transformed into spiritual existence, the devotee, in that transcendental body, renders service to the lotus feet of the Lord. So it's not a false statement also, because the deity mantra, the Diksha mantra, is also non-different from Krishna. And by chanting that mantra, as Gopal Kumar did, then he got his perfection. But we also do have holy name. And this is our main process we concentrate on. And over, of course, Lord Chaitanya repeats this throughout Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and other works. Okay. So, not only is the most important, but it's definitely stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita that chanting is independent of Diksha. And we can get all perfection from chanting the holy name, even if we don't have Diksha. So it's, of course, a little shocking for some people, because most people say, okay, you have to join ISKCON, then you have to take a Diksha and go through the process. Here it says, no, you don't have to do that. Just chant Hare Krishna. It's a little bit, shocking to people. But that's actually what's stated here. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, once the person is relieved from all the reactions of a sinful life, one can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply by chanting the holy name. Very good. So it's independent of everything else. And if we say, well, that's exaggeration, then that's offense to the holy name. If you think that glories of the holy name are exaggeration, that's not proper. Another statement. One does not have to undergo initiation or execute the activities required before initiation. One simply has to vibrate the holy name with his lips. Thus, even a man of the lowest class can be delivered. This is straight from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we have these two things, the Diksha with the mantra, and then we do Archana, which is part of Pancharatrika Vidhi, and we have Nama, name of the Lord, Hare Krishna. Does not require Diksha, and this is called Bhagavata Marga. And this is the more important of the two processes. We do both, but chanting the holy name is more important. It's the Yuga Dharma. In both cases, we do need some knowledge. So that's why it says the Diksha Guru usually also gives Shiksha. And if we're chanting the holy name, if we want liberation, we do not need knowledge. Ajamil had no knowledge. He destroyed all of his karmas. But if we want prema, we do need knowledge. So, yes, holy name is independent, but if we want prema, we do need some Bhagavat Jnana. Not impersonal Jnana, knowledge of Bhagavatam, knowledge of Krishna. Sambandha Jnana, Abhideya, Prayojana, we need that knowledge. So, in other words, we do need some guru, Shiksha Guru, but we don't need Diksha Guru for Nama. So we have two distinct processes here going on for gurus. Now, we do worship the deity. If we look in Nectar Devotion, one of the 5 powerful processes one is Archana, along, of course, with chanting the holy name and Sravana and associating with devotees and living the holy Dhamma. 5 elements are there. One is Archana. So we never reject Archana, and consequently, we never reject Diksha. But, again, emphasis should be upon Nama. And we see, of course, Lord Chaitanya took Diksha, Nityananda took Diksha, Advaita Acharya took Diksha, Srivas took Diksha, Gadadhar took Diksha. Everybody took Diksha, more or less. Srinivasa Acharya took Diksha, Narottam Das Thakur took Diksha. All of these famous people took Diksha. Vishnu Chakravarti took Diksha. Probably the only one that didn't was Haridas Thakur. It's one place that mentions he took Diksha, but I don't know if that's bona fide. It's not very clear. Because... Rupa and Sanatan did not take Diksha. They never got mantra. They got names from Lord Chaitanya, they never got mantras, never said they got mantras. And they never initiated anybody either. So, therefore, most of the acharyas took Diksha, not all, most took Diksha. Why? Of course, one is because if you're in a sampradaya, you should follow some tradition. So all the other sampradayas are having Diksha, so we should also have Diksha also. So therefore they also took, that's one reason why. So these lines continued later on, after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya. Many were hereditary lines, which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur criticizes, but they went by hereditary means. It's not really a fault in one sense, because we see that even in the Sri Sampradaya, Ramanuja, it's 90% hereditary lines there. Father to son, Diksha lines. The one gives Diksha, the son gives Diksha, his son gives Diksha. So they carried on the Diksha tradition in families. They would be the Diksha gurus. And of course, Raganuga practices were also handed down in these particular lines. Therefore, there's some stress upon the Diksha, but maybe it's just a little more prominent later on for other material reasons, maybe, because it's also, it gives you prestige and whatever. So, now we come to ISKCON. As I said, when Prabhupada was there, there's not much of a distinction until Chaitanya Charitamrita came up. We read that, and then we got some new information, but we didn't think about it too much. But we do have, in present ISKCON, we have Diksha Guru, but it's a little more complicated now because there's not one Diksha Guru, there's many Diksha Gurus. So that's a little bit of a complication. Most organizations don't have many Diksha Gurus, they have one Diksha Guru. If you look in the Gaudiya Math, generally they appoint one as the Diksha Guru, and then he's the head of the Math, and then if he disappears, then he appoints one person, they become the Diksha Guru. So generally they only have one Diksha Guru in this different organizations, not only ISKCON, but outside also. or only one Diksha Guru at a time. But ISKCON, we have many Diksha Gurus, so that's a little bit of a unique feature for ISKCON. And the Diksha Guru gives, Diksha mantras in second initiation particularly, and there's Shiksha also. And then we have Shiksha Gurus, but generally not so much emphasized, in spite of the fact that Scripture says they're equal and should be given equal respect. Generally, there's not too much attention paid to the Shiksha Guru. And it's the Diksha Guru that gets everything. In spite of the fact that many devotees are actually giving more Shiksha than the Diksha Guru gives. Because the Diksha Guru doesn't see the disciple. If the Diksha Guru has, 10,000 disciples or more, it's very difficult to give personal Shiksha to all your disciples. So that responsibility is given to other persons who are like Shiksha Gurus then. So we do have many people giving Shiksha, but they don't have that same position as the Diksha Guru. So that's the position. Now, as I said, these traditional lines became emphasized for Diksha, but then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did a remarkable thing, because when he traced our parampara, he did not trace a Diksha parampara at all. he traced a Shiksha parampara. So in other words, again, he took the emphasis off the Diksha in favor of Shiksha. Of course, he gave Diksha, but he wanted to put emphasis on Shiksha again by tracing a line of Shiksha. He also makes some interesting statements. To some disciples, he didn't award Diksha, the second, what we call second initiation. He didn't say, Harinam is enough, just chant the holy name. The success of Diksha is inclination for Harinam. So if you do Harinam, it's equivalent to Diksha, he's saying. Whoever remains fixed in chanting inoffensively should be understood to have undergone Diksha in all of the proceedings. So emphasizing chanting the holy name over Diksha. He also says, the Dikshata, one who has initiation, is inferior to the Harinam Asrata. So one who takes shelter of the holy name is superior to the Diksha disciple. For those who don't believe the name and the named are non-different, for them deity worship, Diksha is required. So he's emphasizing Shiksha and Harinam. But we know that even in Gaudiya Math at the present moment, again they go back to the Diksha emphasis. And ISKCON also, as I said, we emphasize the Diksha over the Shiksha. Not only that, our ceremonies, probably more than in Gaudiya Math and other groups, the Diksha ceremonies become very elaborate, very public affairs. If you look at Gopakumar, he just got a mantra, that was it. If we look at Lord Chaitanya, he got a mantra, that was it. Lord Nityananda, he said, give me the mantra. Okay, he gave him a mantra, and that was it. There was no ceremony, nothing. So Diksha was a very simple ceremony, but in ISKCON it becomes a huge affair, a very, very public social affair. So it's quite different. And this, of course, emphasizes the idea of taking Diksha again. And, of course, we added some elements that were not even there, even in the Gaudiya Math. That is fire sacrifices and formal vows. So we added a lot of elements there. Yeah. And as I said, of course, very simple before, like Gopakumar, just got mantra finished. And previously also in our Sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, others, they just took mantra and that was it. Okay. Prabhupada also says this: if you've understood this Krishna conscious philosophy, the Krishna philosophy, and if you have decided that you will take Krishna consciousness seriously and preach philosophy to others, that's your initiation. My touch is simply a formality. So again, he's not putting too much emphasis upon the Diksha. Chanting of Hare Krishna is our main business. That's real initiation. And as you are all following my instructions in the matter, the initiator is already there. Now, the next initiation will be performed as a ceremony officially. Of course, that ceremony has value because the name, holy name, will be delivered to the student from the sixth succession. It's got some value. So he says it's not useless, but still, internal acceptance is more important of the name. So now there is a little problem, and not problem, but a confusion, because we have two initiations. When you're only supposed to have one diksha, technically, but now we have kind of two dikshas, first initiation, second initiation. So then, which is the real one? So Prabhupada says this: why do you believe in rumors that first initiation not so important as second? I've already said it's equally important, but you say rumor. Actually, first initiation more important. You can go without second initiation. If the first initiation is executed very thoroughly, that is sufficient. First initiation stands strong. So that means you don't have to get the mantra. You just make some vows and get a name and chant Hare Krishna. But then he also says, regarding your question, second initiation is real initiation. First initiation is preliminary, just to make them prepared, just like primary and secondary education. So we get conflicting statements there. You're bound to be a little bit confused by all of this. Of course, there was no confusion previously because there was only one initiation. If you got the mantra, that's the 18th syllable mantra, then that was the initiation. But now we got these two things, the first and the second. And in the second, you're actually getting those mantras. So in one statement, he says, you don't need it. First initiation more important. Other one, he says, second is real initiation. So this actually is true because the mantra is the essence of your diksha. And in the second initiation, we're getting those mantras. So in that sense, it's the real one. This statement is also true because getting the holy name and seriously chanting the holy name is more important than our diksha mantras. Well, in that sense, just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, actually, you just chant the holy name, that's sufficient. So this is what Prabhupada is also saying. Chant the holy name, you don't need the other mantras. So therefore, we got a little bit of an ambiguity here. We got first initiation, second initiation, and we got something called Brahman Diksha also, also there. So a little bit confusing. Yeah. And then Prabhupada says, actually, internal acceptance, that's initiation also. Chanting Hare Krishna is initiation. So we have a lot of confusion about what is initiation. Go by scripture, then of course, getting the Krishna mantra, and what we call second initiation, that's the essence of the initiation. Okay. So, as I say, traditional diksha was simply get Krishna mantra, not Hare Krishna, but the 10-syllable mantra, 18-syllable mantra. There was also a procedure called 5 samskars, or pancha samskara, which is still practiced by the followers of Ramanujacharya in the Sri Sampradaya. So they still do this. It's not much emphasized by Jiva Goswami. He says, okay, this is a system, but he just mentions it once or twice in the Bhakti Sandarbha, doesn't go into detail. Bhaktivinoda Thakur puts a little more emphasis upon this and wrote several articles on the Pancha Samskar initiation. So this means 5 ceremonies or 5 purificatory rites. One is tilak, one is getting branded with conch and chakra, with the hot brands on you. Another is getting a name like Krishna Das, Chaitanya Das, or Gopijana Vallabha, Govardhan Das. Get a name, which we take in we call first initiation. Getting the deity mantra, 18-syllable mantra, which we get in second initiation. And teachings about and qualification for archana, deity worship. So that's the Pancha Samskar, which we kind of divide up into 2 things. First initiation, we're getting tilak and name, etc. And in second, we're getting the Krishna mantra and qualification for archana. So we've also added another thing in there, and that is the Brahma Gayatri, or the Vedic mantra, Vedic Gayatri mantra, which is not part of traditional Diksha. Lord Chaitanya did not get that mantra when he got his Diksha. He got it when he was 5 years old from his father. So it was never included in that. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati added it into the Diksha, the Vedic Gayatri mantra. So it's another Diksha we're getting there, the Vedic Diksha. And of course, attached to that, you only get that mantra by doing the Upanayana Samskar, and that has a fire sacrifice. So in the Gaudiya Mat, then they would do a fire sacrifice for second initiation to get your Gayatri thread and Gayatri mantra. Of course, we're not trying to be brahmanas. The whole idea of getting that thread and getting that mantra was not to raise you up to be a brahmana, because we're actually not supposed to become brahmanas. We're supposed to become Vaishnavas. A Vaishnava is superior to a brahmana, and that was very evident in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, we're not trying to be brahmanas, we're trying to be Vaishnavas. So the whole goal of giving the mantra, etc., was to show the critics that we are superior to the brahmanas. Because the brahmanas were criticizing the Gaudis and saying, you shouldn't worship the deity unless you are a brahmana. So then he said, no, we're Vaishnavas, we're superior to you. So therefore, we get our Vaishnava mantra, and we also get the other mantra. See, we're also brahmanas. We do whatever you can do, because we're superior. We're Vaishnavas. So they're qualified as a Vaishnava, and consequently they're qualified for anything that a brahmana could do. So that's the reason he gave those mantras, the mantra. Okay, so because we got this more complicated ceremony or whatever, and we got the fire sacrifice and whatever, then this idea of Diksha and the Diksha Guru becomes very much emphasized, in spite of the fact that the essence of the Diksha is the mantras, and the mantras we use minimally actually. If you're not doing deity worship, we don't use them much at all, and our primary element is chanting the holy name. And again, Brahma Diksha is there, but we're not really using that as a sadhana to become a brahmana or whatever. It's just maybe symbolic. And the other point, of course, is though the second initiation is there, most people will emphasize the first initiation more. Of course, Prabhupada said, yes, it's more important. So this also becomes very, very prominent. And this actually becomes the Diksha for us, in spite of the fact that it's not real Diksha in the literal sense, but it's much more important, so it's the more important ceremony, so we call it Harinam Diksha. Okay. So Prabhupada established this, and then he carried it on. He never gave specific instructions on what to do later on. He did appoint some Diksha Gurus, but he never really gave details about what happens after that, how they should be worshipped, etc. So one is just to do exactly the same as Prabhupada did, but then it works in some cases, but not in other cases. So after they did that, then, okay, we'll do whatever Prabhupada did, so then they had equal worship of Prabhupada. But then that turned out to be a miserable failure. And then sooner, about 10 years later, we had to revise everything and stop that completely. So not everything that Prabhupada did we shouldn't do. Still, of course, we're doing all the ceremonies the same and whatever. Yeah? So maybe we continue, maybe we shouldn't, maybe we could alter it, because there's another problem. And the problem is that the Diksha Guru becomes very, very prominent. And we said there's Shiksha Guru, and they're supposed to be equal. But now the Diksha Guru becomes very prominent. And there's still the criticism among some people I mentioned. So, oh yeah, everybody gets Diksha and suddenly they all disappear. You don't see them in the temple anymore once they got their Diksha Guru. So they got, it's like kind of a social status symbol. Or a goal and a name, like, you get a certificate, and once I got a certificate, I passed the exam. And then that's it, and then you're free, and then you don't have to do any service anymore. So it becomes more of a materialistic type of goal to achieve, and once you get it, then you're fixed for life or something like that. Like you get baptized into the Catholic Church and you're saved or something. So anyway, the emphasis is upon getting Diksha and having a Diksha Guru, etc. And Well, of course, Guru should be treated like God, so we have to follow scripture, etc. But again, it's Shiksha and Diksha Guru, that's one thing, should be equal, but that doesn't seem to happen. But the Diksha Guru does get treated like God. But the problem is, of course, that a lot of people are doing the Shiksha, but then once they get their Diksha, they disappear, and then they don't give any respect to the people that gave them the Shiksha. There's another problem, which is not proper. And as I said, the Diksha is there in the sense of the getting the mantra or getting the name or whatever, fine, as part of Pancharatra, but more important for us is chanting the holy name and Shiksha. So actually more important in one sense. So if you really getting valuable Shiksha for another person chanting the holy name, that's the best thing that could happen. So the Shiksha Guru should get proper credit if they're inspiring people to chant the holy name. And at least equal. But then the other problem is that then because the Diksha Guru becomes more prominent, that Diksha Guru also becomes more prominent than Srila Prabhupada. And this becomes another problem because we have not one Diksha Guru, but many Diksha Gurus in ISKCON. And therefore we'll have many followers of many different gurus, and then we'll have Prabhupada there. But because of the prominence of Guru worship, Diksha Guru worship, we'll get groups dedicated to different gurus. So we get guru groupism coming out. And this again starts dividing up the whole movement. And Srila Prabhupada didn't want this. He didn't want a divided movement. He wanted one movement. So one way of preserving the movement is to put more emphasis upon Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya, the main Shiksha Guru, etc. But by the emphasis on Diksha Guru, that interrupts that. And it starts minimizing his position and also making divisions. So this is something we have to be a little bit careful of, how to balance the respect giving to Diksha Guru and the respect for Srila Prabhupada and keeping the unity within ISKCON. And it's something that all disciples of present Guru should think about, how to give prominence to Srila Prabhupada for the unity of ISKCON, in spite of the fact that it says, okay, you worship Guru as God or whatever. But the other point, of course, is that it doesn't say exactly that. It says worship the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Guru like God. And actually the quotes about treating your Guru as God actually refer to the Shiksha Guru in the scriptures. So, yeah, worship the Diksha Guru, give respect, but the Shiksha is there, and the Shiksha Guru is also there. And Prabhupada is the main Shiksha Guru. So we have to give respect where respect is due. So the GBC also found this was a problem. What is the position of Srila Prabhupada? So they actually made a few resolutions and statements. This is one of them. ISKCON members shall be trained to place their faith, trust, and allegiance first and foremost in the founder Acharya, who is the preeminent Shiksha Guru for every member of ISKCON. Prabhupada shall be worshipped through his words, his murti, his pictures, and devotees. So an attempt to put Srila Prabhupada in the center. We also had a committee established to research this something, and we came up with a little paper about lines of authority. Who are the lines of authority? The Guru and then Srila Prabhupada and whatever like that. So then they also established a disciple course in which they taught that actually, okay, you can worship your Guru, but you also have to worship Srila Prabhupada and put him in a more prominent position. So we have a disciple course, we have the paper, which is also compulsory, I think, for taking initiation. So these are some of the steps taken for giving Prabhupada the highest position within the movement. So, though the Diksha Gurus are there at the present time, and the Shiksha Gurus are also there to some extent, still we have to give prominence to Srila Prabhupada to keep the movement together. In 2013, another statement came out, all members of ISKCON for all generations are encouraged to seek shelter of Srila Prabhupada. all members of ISKCON are entitled and encouraged to have a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada through his books, teaching, service, and his ISKCON society. So you can have a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada. It's not you have to go through your Diksha Guru or whatever. Oops. Of course, the question goes, well, I can only surrender to one person. How is it possible I can surrender to so many people? This is a little bit of a false argument because actually we're worshiping Krishna. You can say, well, I can worship Krishna. I'm worshiping my Guru, so I can't worship Krishna. Nobody can make that argument. And of course, we're not only worshiping Krishna, we're worshiping Lord Chaitanya, worshiping Nityananda, worshiping Radharani, worshiping so many people. So I can't say I can only worship one Guru. Strange. In Krishna Bhajanamrita, Narahari makes this statement. Father is like the Guru, his older and younger brothers are also Gurus. So the child, the son, has to respect them all. Yeah? He respects the father, he respects his uncles. But the father of one's father, or a great relative worthy of greater respect, is also Guru, but his worship should be double that of the father. So the grandfather gets double the worship of the father and the uncle, or all the brothers, etc. So we're worshiping many people, but we also have grades of worship, and the senior one gets more worship. So therefore being worship gurus, whatever, gurus like God, etc., but then more worship, double worship, triple worship goes to Prabhupada. This is natural, even in the material world. So we can't use that excuse that it's all, I can only worship one person, whatever. And there are grades of respect, even though we say worship Guru like God, then we have levels there also. Who gets the worship? So we have a parampara coming down, and we have to give proper respect to all the members of the Sampradaya. We have to give respect to Srila Prabhupada. We have to give respect to the present Guru, whoever your Shiksha and Diksha Gurus are, but we do have to also emphasize Srila Prabhupada there. I don't know if we can go over the time. We get a little over time. Okay, anyway. So we have Krishna is, of course, the ultimate Supreme Lord, and Prabhupada, empowered by him, he established ISKCON, and he gave his books and his teachings, etc., and he passed on the Diksha mantras to us. He also gave us Hare Krishna. He gave the ceremonies and so many other things for us. So he's the founder of all the elements of our Shiksha and our Diksha. And that influence should continue into the future. Now, generally, the Diksha Guru in the present system, it has a very prominent influence on the disciple. So, somehow or other, Srila Prabhupada is the main person, and his influence also should continue with everybody. Even though he's not personally present, still his influence should continue. So we have present people, devotees living, and they're carrying on the teachings of Hare Krishna ceremonies, Diksha mantra, etc., and giving Diksha, giving Shiksha. But we have to deal with this problem of how to keep Prabhupada in the most prominent position, in spite of the fact that we have to give respect to everybody. And it's not just for now, it's also the future generations, because each generation is a step further away from Srila Prabhupada, more distance, so how do we keep the emphasis on Srila Prabhupada when we go 20 generations down? But if we want to keep a unified ISKCON, we have to do that somehow or other. So we have to think carefully of how to do that, somehow or other. So somehow all the people in the future also have to relate to Srila Prabhupada somehow, and keep him in the center. Okay, anyway, I think that's about it for that. Hare Krishna. Any question?
Maharaj, how does we understand in this context devotee's relationship with his Diksha Guru gets established at the time of taking initiation, when he receives the being, the spiritual name.
Mm-hmm.
How does the devotee's relationship with the Shiksha Guru gets
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
established?
Yeah. So we have some formal ceremony there for the Diksha Guru. We don't have a formal ceremony for a Shiksha Guru. And of course in scripture also there isn't any as such. But as I said, even for the Diksha, it was maybe formal in one sense, but it was not very elaborate. Just get a mantra, finish. That was the formality of it. It was not an elaborate ceremony. Now it's a very, very elaborate ceremony, so it's quite different. And now, when Prabhupada did it, was much simpler. When Bhaktisiddhanta did it, was even simpler. But somehow nowadays, what's the next generation going to be like? I don't know. So maybe we should cut down the pomp or something, or make it simpler again. That we have to really consider. Of course, people say they can't change anything, but actually we are changing it or making it more elaborate. So maybe we do have to simplify things or whatever to just keep the importance of the Diksha Guru in relationship to Prabhupada more balanced.
Well, as I've heard about this phrase, root bit light, some people have referred to in regard to this topic, that there's a danger perhaps of not developing one's own relationship with their own Diksha Guru.
Okay.
Simply Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Perhaps you comment on that.
Yeah, well, that's true, but at the same time, we have established, of course, it's which guru is another thing. So we're saying you have to establish a relationship with your Diksha Guru. But if we go by Chaitanya Charitamrita, you should have Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru equally. So then we could argue that, well, you're doing with your Diksha Guru, you're not following scripture because you're ignoring the Shiksha Guru. And then you say, well, this is wrong because you're interrupting the faith in the Diksha Guru, because you're emphasizing Shiksha Guru also should be equally worshipped. But that's what scripture says. So the argument would be, the scripture says, you worship Diksha Guru, you worship Shiksha Guru, and as I said, you can worship your brothers and the father and the brothers of the father equally, and the grandfather. There shouldn't be any contradiction there. So that should not be a good argument, that somehow you're weakening the argument with the relationship with the Diksha Guru by emphasizing somebody else. Because automatically there is somebody else. There's Krishna there also. You could say, well, don't worship Krishna anymore. It's going to interrupt your relationship with your Diksha Guru, but we don't say that. Yeah.
And the Shastra's veiled. So where do we stand? And I'm thinking also about what's the meaning of the mantra, because the mantra is not Krishna. So how is it such an elevated thing? It's like having a degree and you get the job. And we worship our deities wherever we are. Is it different? You don't have a qualification to do it, but you're still doing it. Why is it you need a diksha to worship the deities in the temple? What's the difference between them?
Okay, for worship, then if we want to follow Pancharatric rules in scripture, then you should take diksha to worship a deity. That's it. We don't want to follow Pancharatra, of course, and we just chant Harinam and become devotional by that and worship. We can do that, but it wouldn't be Pancharatric. So if we want to follow Pancharatric, you do. So as far as temples, at least we want to follow the Pancharatric standards, so we insisted on that. In houses, we don't really insist so much. But it's definitely not Pancharatric then.
One, you said that for prema we need knowledge. Unfortunately, sometimes devotees teach exactly the opposite. Sometimes they say for prema you don't need knowledge. And their quote verses like Jnane Prayasam Utpasam.
Oh, this is not it's different knowledge. That Jnana they're talking about there is impersonal Jnana.
So for this,
Bhagavat Jnana, Shravanam, hearing Bhagavatam, that's the knowledge we want. So Shravanam is part of our bhakti process, that knowledge.
so for hearing
Well, we have Shravanam Kirtanam, yeah? So Shravanam means hearing Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya chanted Hare Krishna, but he also heard Bhagavatam every day in Puri. Yeah, we have also they're also discussing about Krishna every day, Lord Chaitanya. That's again, how you can talk about Krishna unless you know something about Krishna. Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's form, Krishna, whatever. We do need that knowledge. Yeah? Oh, of course, the other knowledge is Sambandha Gyan. We do need philosophical knowledge. And that's why Srila Prabhupada has written Bhagavad Gita, an introduction to Bhagavad Gita, so we get it straight that God is not impersonal, he's personal. God does exist, he's not the jiva. Jiva does not become God. Devatas are not God. All things like that. We practice pure bhakti, not impure bhakti, mixed bhakti, or whatever. So all those things have to be straight for us to get prema. If we have wrong knowledge, we go somewhere else.
One more thing, was there a specific number of rounds at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur to be chanted? Maybe as 16 rounds. Was there a specific number at that time?
Well, I don't know, maybe 64 rounds. Prabhupada also had 64 rounds in the beginning, but it didn't work too well, so he reduced it to 16. Bhaktivinoda Thakur often says 64, but I don't know about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Yeah.
Can you tell us more about receiving instructions? Because, for example, we accept that when Diksha Guru gives instruction, then we have to follow, otherwise it's offense. But what about if the instruction comes from Shiksha Guru? It's
Okay.
also offense not to follow. And also, what if different Shikshas
Yeah.
give different instructions?
Yeah. Well, there's two types of instruction. One is instructions in the sense of giving teachings, which probably should not be different. And that's we're not doing scriptural teachings, we're teaching something else, we're teaching somebody else as God or whatever. So then that person wouldn't be bona fide at all as a Shiksha Guru. So they should all come within the Sampradaya teachings. Now, the gurus may give different practical instructions, particularly on services. One has to be very careful there because the Diksha Guru's area of instruction should be for your spiritual life and not give instructions that interfere with managerial decisions. So in other words, you're in a certain temple and you're serving there and the Guru says, well, I think you should serve there because I have a temple over there. So you go there. So that's actually not proper, because he's interfering with the managerial structure. He should give spiritual instructions about your spiritual advancement, but not just managerial things that you're dealing with where you serve or whatever. If he wants to do that, he should consult with the managerial authorities. So we have two types of authority here. One is your managerial authority in your temple. The other is your spiritual authority of your guru. But of course, even the managerial authority is also spiritual authority. They're not materialists. They're also spiritual. So for the practical things of management in terms of temples and preaching or whatever, that's all under the management. And the guru should not interfere with that. He should give you spiritual instructions, how to chant Hare Krishna, how to become more inspired to worship Krishna, etc. like that. So the areas should be different. But they shouldn't also give practical instructions unless they're also managers. Yeah.
Something about the solution you mentioned that you need to keep Srila Prabhupada in the center.
Yeah.
Very important. My experience is like most of the devotees I know, they got a real inspiration of Shraddha, like proper Shraddha, from Srila Prabhupada by reading his book.
Yeah.
In this sense, he is already
Yeah.
establishes in most of the people I know as a central
Yeah.
kind of inspiration.
Yeah.
Same time, without example of Prabhupada disciple like yourself, who probably never get the faith that achieving something is possible,
Mm.
because we never met Srila Prabhupada,
Mm.
or we meet you and your god brothers who are actually practicing with Srila Prabhupada.
What was that too? What was the solution?
The fact that Shraddha comes from Prabhupada for most of us,
Okay, yeah. So we emphasize that.
and it is the,
Yeah,
the initial
yeah, yeah,
inspiration. It doesn't change this. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
impression is such a
True. Yeah,
impression.
yeah. So if we can emphasize that in our personal life, fine, and then we can keep Prabhupada in the center, or we can take Diksha and so many things. But yeah, that's proper if we can do that. Yeah? But often what happens is that the whole idea of the Diksha Guru becomes very prominent, and we have to serve him, and then gets a little distracted sometimes. So that becomes the problem. But if the disciple can actually do that, fine, that's the best thing.
Hare Krishna, Lord.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class. So nice to see you here in the UK. The question I wanted to ask, many devotees, when they have a special master, unfortunately many of them pass away or perhaps even leave this one.
Hmm.
But they also feel a great decline in their spiritual activities, their spiritual sort of motivation as well as spiritual masters. Because spiritual masters sort of guides them, it shows that they follow the regulated principles, chanting 60 minutes. So for those devotees who have gone through that difficult situation with their spiritual masters,
Mm-hmm.
pass away sadly or go away, what could you do to help them ensure that they stay Krishna conscious?
What do we do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the thing is like, same happened with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was there and then he disappeared. So what are we supposed to do? Okay, let's stop our devotional service and go back to our jobs or whatever in the material world. No. Even though he has disappeared, what continues is his instructions. Huh? So, yes, a spiritual master will disappear, but whatever instructions he's given us, then we should value those instructions and take them as our life and soul and use that to continue our devotional service. Huh? Yeah.
What happens if it's a situation with a special master, for instance,
Yeah.
anti-typical,
Yeah, if he disappears, if he goes away, whatever, yeah. 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 So, yeah, if he happens to leave the movement, of course, then we have to kind of cut the relationship completely and stop our attachment if we had any attachment. And we can do two things. One, we continue the relationship with Srila Prabhupada, which it should be there already anyway. And the other is to establish some relationship with other devotees whom we can trust.
Maharaj, our parampara in ISKCON is the Shiksha parampara,
Yeah.
not Diksha.
As traced by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Srila Prabhupada, yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Like in Guru Disciple Code, you were told that there will be Diksha and Diksha will kind of indicate your previous karma, you are a Hebrew slave. So that happened in the first initiation?
Does he take away your karma? Is that the idea? Well, I have a whole other presentation on that, which is, it's a little bit of a, it's yes and a no, because actually, if you chant Hare Krishna, all your karma is gone anyway. Long before you even meet your guru, if you chanted Hare Krishna. So, and anyway, we're not very much interested in karma anyway, because we're interested more in prema. But anyway, the idea of responsibility is also there, and I think that's the context of that the guru accepts the responsibility for the disciple, and if a disciple does a bad activity, the guru bears the result, like the king bears the result for the citizens' sins, at 1/6 at least. So in the same way, and even the wife and the husband is responsible for the wife does a sinful activity, the husband gets the result. Or if a teacher is there and the student, he takes responsibility for the conduct of the student does something bad, then the teacher gets the bad result. It's not, of course, a complete thing, because obviously that would make you kind of free and absolved of all your karmas, but to some extent the guru has to bear the responsibility of the disciple's activities after he accepts them. So in that sense, but as far as regular karmas, bhakti itself and Harinam destroys the karmas.
In the past I've heard about
The what? Oh, yeah, Siddha Pranali, yeah. Well, this is in Raganuga. Huh? More important than a mantra is often they're going to use a Diksha mantra, but they give you a identity, spiritual identity. And of course, Madhurya Bhava being Manjari. So you get an identity with a name, an age, color of your dress, your service. 11 elements are there. And that becomes your identity. So in Raganuga Bhakti, you're supposed to meditate on that identity internally and start serving Radha and Krishna in that identity. So that's what we call the Siddha Pranali, which is given by a guru who's in that line with it. And then he will take the particular disciple who's qualified and he'll give him those 11 things.
When a disciple takes an initiation from a guru, so in general in school we vow that we would be chanting 16 rounds and 4 regular principles.
Yeah.
And if in some days that a disciple could not follow the instruction, like if he could not be able to do it,
Yeah.
the 16 rounds in a day, or he broke one of the principles, then is it automatically that his initiation is like disqualified, or does it continue still, or what?
Yeah. So it's like Krishna says, even if you committed those sinful activity, you're still my devotee. So Krishna is very forgiving, and most gurus are going to be forgiving also. But if you take initiation and you're not serious, and you make vows that you're not serious about, that's the big problem. Huh? So if you're going to take initiation and you do make vows, you should be serious about trying to do it and coming up to that standard. If you're not ready, then don't take initiation. If you can do it easily, fine, then you take initiation, and then you keep doing it. And you may make mistakes. You may not be able to do the vows completely proper or whatever, but to the best of your ability, keep trying. That's all.
Is it possible for someone to get Diksha in a dream?
Oh, Diksha and dreams. It is possible, but won't be accepted by most people. You can say, I got Diksha from Srila Prabhupada or something, so it won't be accepted normally. Anything's possible, but it won't be accepted. Okay. Hare Krishna.